Hey everybody, it's Shadowstar and Crystal here for another Arrow review. This time it's episode 3 of season 3, Corto Maltese, and this episode, it's all about Thea and I love it.
Yeah, we just get flashbacks about her training and stuff.
I know! Once again, we're not dragged down by flashbacks, because quite honestly, the regular flashbacks of this season are almost never exciting. Which is why episodes which dive into other characters are really good. So yeah, we get a lot of flashbacks devoted to what happened between the end of last season and now in regards to Thea, as well as seeing what's been going on with her. Obviously, like we saw at the end of last episode, she's been with Malcolm, and as I've said before, I love Thea's plot and dynamic with Malcolm, and this episode is absolutely the highlight of it. This is got to be one of my favourite episodes in terms of Thea.
Yeah, he tries to be a caring father in his weird way. You know, a bit of tough love, I guess.
That's the thing, I absolutely love it because exactly, you could see he's got such a good dynamic with her when he's training and teaching her and everything. They work so well together. That's the thing. It's not, as you could see, his methods worked.
Yeah. I mean, she got hit by boiling coffee and didn't flinch.
That's the thing. She's learned to fight. She's learned to fend for herself. And honestly, I think Oliver is selfish in this episode. I know, obviously, yes, she's with Malcolm, which we know might be not the best idea. But outside of that, she has a good point. She's got a fresh slate here, and she's happy here.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. She's actually quite happy.
What is there for her back home? What's she gonna do?
Exactly. She's just gonna go.
So she had a home.
Exactly. She felt happy. She had a clean slate. It was a good way to get away from everything.
And she's working for it too, because she was working as a waitress. So Malcolm didn't just straight up give her a free home.
Exactly. But yeah, I really love Thea in this episode, and honestly, like I said, Thea has a rocky start at Season 1 and some of 2, but this is, honestly, Thea becomes one of my favourite characters in Season 3.
Yeah, she's getting pretty good.
Exactly. The rest of the episode had some good or okay moments, but obviously the highlight is absolutely Thea. You know, we got the training scene with, where they're sitting down and Malcolm does talk about what happened after Rebecca died, which is a nice moment between them where they can relate to each other.
Yeah.
And then you've got that moment where he starts having to train her a bit tougher, but it works. He trains her the same way he would have been trained, the way he knows, and it works for her.
Yeah. I mean, he's not entirely completely tough, because we see when she says she wants to go home, he's clearly holding back and letting her win a bit.
Exactly, but it still works.
He just wants to make sure she's up to a certain skill level.
I suppose it's also like a goodbye where he's saying, don't forget what you've learned.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I suppose enough about praising Thea. We will talk about the side plots where we did have the other plot with Diggle, which obviously, in my mind, is the least interesting plot.
I know, right? I didn't care for it.
I think that they just needed an excuse to put some action in the episode somewhere, but I didn't care for it at all. It's not bad by any means, it was just there.
I mean, we had Laurel try to fight a guy.
That's it. No, I do like Laurel's plot. Normally I don't, but I did like the episode, mainly the end point where that's the thing, her dynamic with this new character, Ted Grant, where she starts taking self-defense lessons to work through her troubles.
Well, Oliver wouldn't do it, so
But that's the thing.
She needs an outlet. She needs to learn to fight.
But it's not, to me, it's not about fighting. It's about just self-defense and anger management, like he was saying. Like Ted Grant was saying, he helps people work through tough stuff, and it works. That's, honestly, I wish she had just stuck with that than trying to become a vigilante like she does. I don't care for her trying to become a vigilante, but I like this little plot of delving into anger management.
Yeah, it's like when Thea punched Roy.
Exactly, it's a really good plot. Speaking of plots, it's a small little thing, but we do have the continuous dynamic of Felicity and Ray.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. Like, she didn't even make him leave the room before talking to people. Sure, he only heard her side of conversations, but he really notices that she's doing a lot more than she lets on, and she's bad at lying. And
but at the same time, he notices, but he also doesn't care. He's happy to let her go. Like, he's happy to let her...
he's like, it's a fair trade-off. I get her for some stuff, and
but
she
that's
can
the
do
thing.
her own thing.
We don't really get much of any clue, but we know that obviously, especially the last little bit at the end, there's clearly something more going on with Ray, which we'll get into. Nothing huge at the end, but just a little tidbit.
Yeah, he was just looking at some stuff.
Exactly. But yeah, we do have... That's the thing. I did like the little Felicity stuff. It was kind of, seeing her being in the middle of both the Oliver and Laurel plot, as well as her own plot. And obviously we see the fact that she's got her own high-ranking job at Palmer Tech now.
Yeah, he gave her an assistant.
Exactly, but all in all, that was the episode. It wasn't a huge episode.
Well, I like that they make a lot of connections to Flash, because she mentioned she had to go see her friend who was in a coma, and she asked for time off.
Exactly, there's two kind of cliffhangers. There's Felicity's going to go see Barry, and then also there is a cliffhanger with Nyssa arriving, wanting to know where Sarah is. That's about our only cliffhanger, which we'll get into next time, obviously. But that's it for the episode. But honestly, I really enjoyed this episode, mainly for the Thea stuff. I absolutely look.
I'll go as high as 7.
This is my peak episode in terms of Thea. I get really annoyed with what's going to happen later with Malcolm, but this episode is so good. I'm going to give it an 8.5.
I'll stick with 7.
That's understandable. You tend to be a little less nice to the Arrow. But this was a really good episode. I just love Thea and Malcolm's dynamic. I know some people don't, but I absolutely do. The Laurel plot was a little messy, but also had some good moments. Felicity had a fun plot. The only downside, which it wasn't bad or anything, was the Diggle plot was just kind of a throwaway. But all in all, we've got some cliffhangers. Felicity's going to go see Barry, and then we've got Nyssa's stuff.
I quite liked the moments with Diggle at home with the baby, not just because the baby's cute, but also it shows his caring side. Like, he's really becoming a father. Like, he's developing those parental instincts.
Exactly. Like I said, I have mixed feelings about Season 3, but that's mostly the ending. These first few episodes are all fun, because I can remember some of the other episodes coming up, and I love this episode, and there's a few stuff in the middle. But, Season 3, I don't love it like Season 2, but I think sometimes that's better with me not going in saying I love it, because that way it gets us to go in a bit more fresh and just take each episode. Some are good, some are bad, and that's better. Whereas with Season 2, I was praising almost everything, and then it makes it a bit awkward when we do have episodes that weren't great.
Yeah.
But anyway, what is the name of the next episode?
The Magician.
Well, that could mean anything. I know what it means, of course, but...
Yeah, I do too.
Exactly. But we'll get into that next time. Next time is episode 4 of Arrow Season 3, The Magician.